Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. After a hiatus of several months, perhaps even years, I have the pleasure of company of Princess Lakshmi Bayi Nalapat, and she's going to talk about her grand uncle, the last king of Travancore, Swami Chithira Thirunal. Let's welcome Lakshmi Bayi ji. Namaskaram ji. Namaskaram. How are you?
Namaskaram, Sri Mahakali Arpanam. Thank you so much, Sri, for having me on your show. Good to be back here.
Absolute pleasure to have you on our channel. And viewers, Sri Chithira Thirunal, we are going to see his life through the eyes of his grandniece. We have a beautiful slide deck presentation for you. And as we go through the slides, Lakshmi ji is going to recount how her memories of growing up with him and what kind of a legacy he leaves behind for Sanatanis, all of us. So I'm going to, without further ado, jump into the slide deck and we can start talking about that, Lakshmi ji. With your permission, let me start the slide deck going.
Now, this is the picture of the iconic Sri 𝗤𝗏𝗏 temple. Sri 𝗤𝗏𝗏 temple was in the news or is in the news for, according to me, slightly wrong reasons. People are talking about the gold in the temple, the actual material, gold, metal, wealth, etc. in the temple, while people are, how should I say it, not exactly ignoring, but sidelining the most important fact of that temple, which is Sri 𝗤𝗏𝗏 himself. For my great uncle, Chithira Thirunal Balarama Varma, he was the last reigning Maharaja of Travancore. Probably his most beloved and most valuable title was Sri Padmanabha Dasa, or the slave of Sri 𝗤𝗏𝗏. One of my earliest memories of Ponnammavan, we used to call him Ponnammavan. Ponna, it is gold. Ammavan means uncle. So literally the translation is golden uncle. We used to call him that because that is what he was. He was a total golden uncle. For Ponnammavan, Padmanabha was his breath. Okay. Padmanabha was his obsession. Padmanabha was his love. Padmanabha was his reason for being. Please remember, this gentleman was a wonderful great uncle, wonderful person to grow up with. The amount of love he showered on us is unbelievable. I am 63 years old. Okay? He passed away in 1991. But I can't forget him. I cannot forget what he meant, not just for me, but for everybody in the family, individually as well as collectively. My first memory of him is when he came out of his office. He had a room which he used to call his office in Kowdiar Palace, where he lived in the latter years of his life. He passed away there. So in Kowdiar Palace, there's a half door which led to his office room. And he used to, whenever he used to get up from the office and come out, he used to say, Sri 𝗤𝗏𝗏. The length of that Padmanabha. It is like that, very much like the North Indian Bitiya, which you call your daughter with so much love. The length of the call showed his love. And that was his relationship with Padmanabha. Padmanabha was his family deity. He was also his love. Sri.
Thank you so much. And let us talk a little bit about Sri Ananta Padmanabha Swami. Viewers, I don't know how many of you have had the good fortune of seeing this temple, Sri Ananta Padmanabha Swami in Thiruvananthapuram. It's a divine feeling. If I remember correctly, I was a young kid when I went there. There are 3 dwaras through which you saw him. And talk to us a little bit about, see, what you are seeing here is just a small slide, but he's actually about 18 feet wide or something like that. I might be getting my dimensions wrong. Talk to us a little bit about the grandeur and majesty of Ananta Padmanabha Swami?
Well, to understand that, we'll have to go back a little back into history. There was a sage called 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Swamiyar. Some say that he is also called Divakara Muni. He was in a place called Kumbala in the north of Kerala, in Kasaragod district. And he was a devout Mahavishnu Bhakta. When he was doing his rituals and pujas, there used to be a little kid, which seemed to be like a Brahmin boy, wearing a little dhoti, who used to help him gather flowers, etc., etc., etc. And who used to help him with the puja. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 treated him like a beloved child. One day, this boy took the Salagramam. Salagramam, as you know, is a symbol of Mahavishnu, thanks to Vrinda's curse. So he took the Salagramam and put it in his mouth. Now, naturally, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 was so annoyed. So he pushed the boy with the back of his left hand and said, "Go." This boy turned and he ran. And when he ran, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 could see Magara Kundalam's jewelry, yellow silk. That is when he realized that, my God, this is not a boy. This is Mahavishnu himself who has come to, to be by my side. And what have I done? I pushed him away. What a sinner I am. What an idiot I am. And then he cried out, "Don't leave me." So then this child was running. And he said, "When can I see you again?" And this child shouted, behind and said, "Come to 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 and you can see me there." 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 means the forest of Ananta. Now, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 naturally was like a madman, right? I mean, having such proximity, even if it is unknowing of Mahavishnu, suddenly to be bereft of that would be like, it's like worse than amputation, right? And so he went from Kumbala, from place to place to place. Nobody knew where 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 was. So finally he came to the then Thiruvananthapuram. And he found a lady. A child was crying. And she was trying to pacify the child. And the child was refusing to be pacified. So finally the mother said, "Now shut up, otherwise I'll throw you into 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏." So the moment he heard 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, he rushed to the lady and said, "Where is 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏?" So she said, "The forest, this one, behind me." And then he prostrated her. It is believed that she was a Polei Stree, or a lady of low caste. Okay? But he prostrated her because she was his guru. She was his guide to his beloved Ananta Padmanabha. So he ran into the forest and he said, "I have come to 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. You told me that you will appear before me when I come to 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Where are you?" And he heard the sound of an iluppa tree falling in the forest. When he entered the forest, he found this humongous vigraham of Ananta Padmanabha Swami, Daru Vigraha. Onkara Rupa Kamaniya Padaravinda Sree 𝗤𝗢𝗏𝗏 Vishwarupa Sheshe Shayana Shiva Pujana Patmahasta Sree Padmanabha Mamadehi Karavalambam. Mahakali. That is the description of Sree Padmanabha Swami, he who lies on Ananta. Shiva Pujana Padmahasta. I would like to remind all these people who say Shaivism is greater or Vaishnavism is greater, that Shiva is forever doing dhyana to Vishnu. Vishnu is doing puja to Shiva. They have no issues. It is the followers who, as usual, have issues. Okay? And so he said, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Swamiyar said, "You are so huge. I want to circumambulate you. Now, how can I do it?" So then the Lord shrunk himself to 3 times the size of his danda. All Swamis carry a danda, right? Like a stick.
Right.
And they say that the head is at Tiruvattar, the trunk is at Thiruvananthapuram, and the feet are as ثِرِپَّادَപُரம். About ثِرِپَّادَപُram, we will not go there because I have a lot of questions about that. If you look at the temple architecture of both Tiruvattar and Thiruvananthapuram, they are very, very similar. Except that in Tiruvattar, he is Adi Keshava. There is no Srishti. There is no navel out of his Nathi. Here he is Padmanabha, he who has a Padmam or a lotus from his navel where Brahma sits. In Trivandrum, he has Shiva under his hands, under his hand. So it is Srishti Sthiti Sambharam in Tiruvandhuram. It's a complete picture. Okay. So when you go to Padmanabha Swami temple, you see him in 3 nadas or 3 entrances. He is made of not just all the Vigrahams. There are so many sub-Vigrahams. There is Bhuma Devi, there is Sri Devi, there are the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, very interestingly, very, very interestingly, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 on the wall behind him, Garuda, Sri Chakra. So all those things are made of a very complex material called Kadu Sharkara. 64 materials combined together in very, very, the very, very esoteric. You have to have sand taken from Triveni, where 3 rivers meet. Then you have to have red rock, black rock, white rock. You have to have sand from the foot of a cow, which an elephant has gored into. The list is amazing. Collecting the things, just collecting the things for the Kadu Sharkara will take close to a year. You need Techipu, which blooms only in winter, not in rainy season. Rainy season, Techipu is abundant. So it's such a complicated procedure, the Kadu Sharkara. The advantage of the Kadu Sharkara is, for us, Sri, all temples are centers of concentrated centers of divinity. Okay, the physical equivalent, shall we say, of an antenna, which helps us gather divinity. Correct. So Kadu Sharkara is one of the things most conducive to getting that Parabrahman. Yeah. The other idol materials, of course, it's Mridmayam, which is earth, and actually Kadu Sharkara comes under Mridmayam, because it's made of lot of earth is involved in it. You have Daru, which is wood, and you have Loham, which is metal. So these are the different types of idols.
Thank you so much. Now let's move on to your childhood with Chithira Thirunal ji. Here we have a picture of him with Srimati M.S. Subbulakshmi. I think it was probably a concert. Where did this happen?
I think this was probably either for my mother's sister's marriage or my great-grandmother's 60th birthday.
I see.
My great-grandmother, that is my Amma's Amma, was Chithira Thirunal's mother. Okay? The mother and son had a wonderful relationship. And Valyamuma, as we used to call my great-grandmother, Valya means big, Amuma means grandmother. She was a patron of arts. When I grew up, Chemmangudi Srinivas Iyer, M.D. Ramanathan, M.S. Subbulakshmi, they were all, they all used to come home. And they used to have, impromptu concerts. And so Chithira Thirunal was very much part of that. Even though he never sang or played an instrument. It's my grandmother my mother's mother who learned singing. My great-grandmother was a great Veena expert, Vainika. And she used to practice something like 5 hours a day.
Wow.
But wow. Yeah. And my brother Ashwati Thirunal Ramorma, she was directly responsible for making him into a professional musician that he is nowadays. But Chithira Thirunal was a patron of arts.
And viewers, you're going to have the pleasure of his company also very soon on PGurus. I'm in the process of setting it up, so do look forward to my conversation with Lakshmi ji's brother. And let's get back to this slide deck, because we are going down the memory lane. Kowdiar Palace, this is another entrance, isn't it?
No, this is actually Amma Kali. For me, Sree Iyer, if you ask me personally, what is the greatest blessing in my life? Okay, I would say it is having this temple as my Paradevata. It's a Bhagavati temple. My entire family is obsessed about Padmanabha Swami. But she, this beautiful, beautiful lady in this temple, claimed me as hers. I did not choose her. She chose me. This is
amazing, wonderful.
Yeah, this is Attingal Bhagavati temple, not Attigal. Attigal is a very famous temple in Trivandrum, which has the annual Pongala, which has entered the Guinness Book of Records for being the Lady Shabarimala, etc., etc., etc. But this temple, it's in the middle of it's one of the most peaceful temples that I have ever been to. The greatest blessing, I mean, I know it's a sweeping statement, but the greatest blessing in my life is to have her as my Paradevata, which is clan goddess, and Ishtadevata, which is the chosen goddess. Except that I didn't choose her, she chose me. The second greatest blessing of my life, is to be born as Chithira Thirunal's, to be born into his family, definitely, but to be born as his great niece. Chithira Thirunal's genius, okay, was that he was not a hypocrite ever, okay, but he had that capability to make each one of us feel that yes, he loved all of us, but he loved me a little more. I am special in his life. It's a genius. I don't know how he managed it. See, somewhere in the deepest, darkest corner of my heart, I am like, yes, Purnama loved all of us, but I was a little special. And this is not just my ego working, okay, because I find this reaction with everybody, even people he came across. He was so gentle, he was so learned, and the best was he was so unassuming. Please remember, Sree, that he was the actual ruling Maharaja, right? He was in absolute power till independence and India was formed, right? Travancore state, whatever he said was law in Travancore. And for that man, okay, to give up, he never went into politics. He was the Raj Pramukh of Travancore and Cochin. That was the last public political, post he held. But he was so down to earth. He used to wear a dhoti and a shirt, and on his forehead, that special, see, this colored, this yellow colored chandanam, which is
Chandanam,
from Chandanam, which is from Padmanabha Swami temple. That was his attire. And
so let us.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Finish your thought. Finish your thought. I wanted.
No, when I went to school and college, okay, I was the first one to go to school from my family. In fact, I used to, when I used to have fights with my grandmother, which is very, very often, she's the one who brought me up. I used to tell her, you haven't even gone to school. Even though she was, what are you talking about? Okay. So when I went to school and I used to get my friends over from both school and college, They were amazed when they saw Chithira Thirunal, because their concept of Maharaja was very different from this loving, sweet person. He used to inquire about everybody. He used to remember about everybody. You know, 1 year later, he would ask, like your grandmother was not so well. She had some leg pain. How is she now? And that's it. It's a prodigious memory. I mean, the way he could connect people, events. I don't know how he managed it. Adella, I would say it is Padmanabha Swami's blessings on him.
Wonderful. So let's get back to this. How old were you when your Annaprashanam took place? If I have to guess, 1 year?
Maybe 6 months. No,
6 months?
between 6. Some people say it's odd number of months, so maybe it's 7 months. After 6 months, in that picture you see me sitting on Purnama's lap. See, Kerala is a matriarchal, matrilineal family, right?
Yes.
So the oldest uncle is the head of the family. He's the boss. So he is the one on whose lap I sit. You see my great grandmother, you see my grandmother, and you see my mother in this photograph. So actually, when my mother and my mother's sister got married, he was the one who was, sort of not giving them away, because in Kerala you take the husbands into the family. You don't give the daughters to the husband's family. But he was the one who conducted the wedding. In everything, all the invitations went out in his name. Chithira Thirunal Balarama Varma is, invite you for the blah blah blah. And he looked after this whole family. He educated us. I am staying in this house. He gave me a plot of land in Chennai when I was a kid. He gave me, my brother, and my mother's sister's 2 sons. It's just 4 of us in my generation. I'm the oldest. A plot of land each, and I sold my Chennai land and bought this place in Thiruvananthapuram. So where I'm staying also comes from his generosity and grace.
Wow. So this is his later years picture. See, one thing I have to tell you, Lakshmi ji, you look at this picture, right? I'm not in the frame. That's okay. You can hear me. I want to capture the moment here. This is arguably one of the richest families of the world at that point of time. Yet, when I look at this picture, I see simplicity oozing through in every frame here, every little bit. How is somebody possible? How is it possible for somebody to stay so grounded?
Well, I don't know how grounded we are, but we are whatever we are because of the way we've seen him be. Okay. I was 27 when he passed away. And I was lucky. I had him for 27 years. And when you see somebody who's so grounded, who's so simple, you sort of follow suit. You don't think. Okay. And please remember, Sree, that social media was non-existent, right? So, of course, we could see how we were exposed to a little bit of how other Maharajas used to be. But I think my great uncle's greatest wealth was Padmanabha Swami. Undoubtedly. He has told my mother and my mother's sister, do you know what the most wealthy thing we have, most valuable thing we have? And he has repeatedly said, Padmanabha Swami. In fact, when we were kids, my generation, my brothers and I, after lunch, we used to go to his room, and each of us used to have a bed, okay? And we used to lie down, and he used to tell us stories. He used to tell us, he started with Krishna stories. Okay. So the whole of Ramayana, the whole of Mahabharata, the whole of Bhagavatam, we never read those books then. We learned the whole stories thanks to him. He used to start with Krishna stealing butter. Kids can easily identify with that, right? There's something really, really scary. I'm being totally undiplomatic here. But when little children recite the Bhagavad Gita, recite it by heart, there's something not quite kosher about it. They have to first learn to love, whether it's Krishna, whether it's Kali, whether it's Shiva. And then from that love, call it bhakti, call it worship, call it whatever you want. But from that link, that emotion, that Sree Padmanabha Swami, it's from that things arise. You don't look at Padmanabha Swami and say, oh, here is Ananta, here is the Napi, the lotus in the Napi. You don't do that. I mean, yes, if you are a Pandit, if you are a scholar, yes. Otherwise, no. You see, and I still remember, I was the oldest in the family, right? So he was saying the story of Ahalya. Now, how do you tell children about Devendra's,
deceit?
Carnal desire for Ahalya? It's a very difficult thing, right? I mean,
yes,
we were kids, right?
Yes.
So
I agree.
he used to say, Ahalya used to make the best payasam or ghee as naivedyam, and she would give it only to Gautama to eat. That payasam was not given to other people. So one day Devendra wanted to taste the payasam, and therefore he came. And after that, the story is all, then the story slightly diverges and merges. Okay.
True.
And I still remember. Now I was older, so he was saying the story of Ahalya, and my two brothers were there. The youngest one was not even. The youngest one was there, but he was too little to join this storytelling session. So Hanuman was saying the story of Ahalya. And I looked at him and said, Honamava, no, because by then I had caught on what the actual Devendra's actual desire, not for Paisa. So Amman used to say, he said, yes, to me. And then, of course, these two boys, they started saying, what is the story? What is the story? I said, I know the story. You don't know the story. And then, you know how kids are.
Yes.
So I still remember him trying to balance out, the adult version of Ahalya and the UA version of Ahalya. Those are such tender memories. Okay.
This is a beautiful picture of you growing up with him. When was this? How old were you here?
Maybe 3, 4. Because I still remember he used to make us. He never used to carry kids. Okay. If I remember right, because we were always scared that he would, he was clumsy and he would drop them. So he would, but he would make us walk on his legs. That I remember very well. Okay. And he used to say, dikka dikka 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪. That is the sound of the horse. Things which were so, and unfortunately, Sree, we never had, we had recording facilities like cameras, right? But we never had the kind of recording facilities which we have now. That is something which I regret so badly. So much. What would I not give for a visual recording of one of his storytelling sessions?
Very true. Very true.
By the way, this is something which many people don't know. He was a very good photographer himself. Knew so much about cameras. Very keen photographer.
Those were the days of manual photography. You needed to understand exposure, lighting, when to overexpose, when to underexpose, how to set up the frame, how to frame your object in a picture. A lot of things went into it, and if you blew it, you blew it. I mean, it was not easy. Film used to be there. You had to be. See, I myself grew up knowing how to develop that film. Solution. You use red color photo lab, then you use that to. So you need some light to know if the thing is developed or not. You have the solution, you mix it, and you do this. This is the film I'm talking about. You dip it and then run it. After 15 minutes, clarity will emerge. Then you have to take a look at it. You have to make a decision. Did you take the picture at a certain light which makes you to overexpose at the development time? Lots of variables here, there, everything. So by the time you get the actual picture from a photo paper, you feel like you've accomplished something in life. I used to be part of photography club as an engineering student.
Great.
Of fun doing all that stuff. Lot of fun doing all that stuff. These days, it's so easy. Digital camera, even your phone is your camera. I mean, so easy. In fact, that's all I can say. Those days, you really needed to understand everything before you could do something proper. So let's get back to the story here. This is his mother, Sethu Parvati Bayi, who was a great influence on his life. Viewers, we are talking about Sree Chithira Thirunal, the last king of Travancore. More importantly, his contribution was in 1936. He made it possible for everybody to come to all the temples. He threw open the temples to everybody. Before that, there were a lot of restrictions on who could go into the temple, who could not go into the temple. So he was a very forward-thinking king in that perspective. So let's get back to his mother's influence on him. Over to you, Lakshmi ji.
My great-grandmother used to call him Kutta. Okay. She had pet names she had 3 surviving children. So my Chithira Thirunal was the oldest. He was Kutta. My grandmother was the next child, and she was Kunyu. And the youngest, my younger great uncle, who's also no more, was called Peach. Peach. And
like the fruit.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of British influence, by the way. Maybe it's not, again, it's politically not correct to say that. But thank God there is a lot of British influence, because all of us learned to speak English at a very young age. Today, without English, you can't manage. There's nothing unpatriotic about knowing a language. Bhasha Rupa Brihat Sena. Bhagavati is every language. Swahili, everything. They used to have breakfast together, okay? My great-grandmother and my great-uncle. My great-uncle used to get up in the morning. First thing, he used to have a bath. He used to go to Patronage Swami temple, have darshan there. Then he used to come to Kowdiar. In the courtyard of Kowdiar Palace, there's a Ganapati, small, cute Ganapati. Then he used to worship that Ganapati. Then he would go to his mother's home, and he would have breakfast. Standard breakfast. That is the Ganapati. We've all prayed. Very powerful Ganapati, by the way. My great-grandmother tried to build a sort of covering for him, small temple-like structure, but no, it keeps on falling down. So for Vinayaka Chaturthi, that is Ganesh Chaturthi, and for my great-grandmother's birthday and my great-uncle's birthday, they make a structure out of coconut leaves. Pacha Pandal it's called, which literally means green. Pandal means, what Pandal means.
Yeah. Yes.
So Pacha Pandal, they used to have a Pacha Pandal, and it was removed soon after that. Interestingly, my great uncle's birthday falls on Deepavali. And and there is a song which is Chithira Nalum Deepavaliyu Mottoru Suldinatil 𝗤𝗡𝗙 जनिच 𝗎 क्यारिररारो, which means on that day when Chithira, and Diwali comes together. Little boy who was born to be king, go to sleep. Arirararo is like, Lalla Lalla Lori of North India.
Yes. Yes.
So, now his birthday was also the Kodiyettu. That is the beginning of there are 2 Ulsavams in Sree Padmanabha Swami temple. And for this one, the Tula Masam, that is the monsoon Ulsavam, invariably his birthday was on the Kodiyettu day. Now, Chithira Thirunal Moolam was my great-grandmother's birthday. So for us, that entire Ulsavam was literally an Ulsavam, because anybody who could make it, everybody who could make it would come and stay in Kowdiar. So my great-grandmother had many siblings. So all of them used to come with their children and their children's children. It's wonderful. It was like, for kids, it was bliss. Deepavali, crackers. What do you want as a kid? When you grow up, that's what you want. So
very true. Very
for
true.
me, Deepavali is not very, it's not celebrated much in Kerala, as you know. It's not like Tamil Nadu or like North India. But for us personally, Deepavali was so special because it was his birthday. It was his birthday celebration more than Deepavali, if you know what I mean.
Yes, yes. So let's take a look at this family portrait. I think your brother is on the extreme right, sitting in the front, and you are sitting in the front in the extreme left, if I remember correctly. Can you talk to us a little bit about this one? When was this taken?
I think this was taken for my great uncle's 60th birthday. So that's him, his mother, my grandmother, then my mother's sister with her elder son Ravi, who we call him Ravi, but his name is Martanda Varma. Then I am at the extreme corner. Behind me is 𝗟𝗡𝗙 daughter, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Varma. And the littlest one in our generation, the littlest one is 50 plus now, okay? Aditya Varma. Yeah. So when Ponnammavan used to refer to us as children, okay, in our 20s. And that is Chittapan, my mother's sister's husband, carrying Adityan. Then it is my mother's brother, Moolam Thirunal. He is the oldest Padmanabha Dasa currently. Next to that is my father. Then Uttaradan Thirunal, who passed away. Uttaradan Thirunal was the younger brother of Chithira Thirunal. Uttaradan Thirunal's son, Padmanabha Varma, he is also no more. Below him is my mother with Ashwat Thirunal Ramavarma Raghu, as we call him, on her lap, and Radha Devi, who's Uttaradan Thirunal's wife. This is the immediate family of Chithira Thirunal. Okay, that is his mother and his mother and her children and their family.
Viewers, you may want to go back and then stop at that point and then pinch it and look at it a little bit bigger on your phones, and you can see the names of all the different people and their pictures. This is one for the history books. And Lakshmi ji, I have to tell you one thing. We decided that we were going to have this conversation 2 days ago, but then you were busy all through yesterday up until like an hour before this started. And then suddenly, like a burst of inspiration, you sent me all these pictures and we put together this slide deck, and it has come out so wonderful because our future generations need to understand what simplicity is and how people practice that. And to this day, I'm amazed. I've known you for many years. I don't have to do any mukhastuti. You're one of the simplest persons I've known in my life. And we can have a conversation as, just like people that you've known each other for so long. And yet that humility is what really floats me. And so much information we got today listening to Sri Chithira Thirunal, and our viewers and I are indebted to you forever for bringing those memories. Viewers, this is something that you probably want to watch till the very end. And this is just one royal family of India. There were 600 plus kingdoms at that point of time. Each one has a story just like this. And I'm going to try and see if I can get others. But Lakshmi ji, what a wonderful session. 40 minutes have gone without us knowing how this time went. And I'm sure we're going to come back to you for more such stories and recollections. Once again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Sri, for your nice words. Whatever I am, it is because of Sri Mahakali. And of course, my Guru Paramparas, my Karnavars, their blessings. And of that, I am convinced that Chithira Thirunal, wherever he is, I know where he is. He is inside Sree Padmanabha Swami temple. He's with Sree Padmanabha Swami. That I am convinced of. Yesterday, by the way, I went to Padmanabha Swami temple after a hiatus of a few months because I was unwell. And his blessings, Padmanabha Swami's blessings, most of all, the blessings and prayers of all of you. And of course, the kindness of Sri Mahakali. Thank you so much, Sri Mahakali Arpanam.